Hello and welcome again to Creative Connections. I'm your host, Gary Blanchard, and today my guest is a stand-up comic, Debbie Ennis.
Hello.
Debbie, welcome. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I have had everything from writers to clowns, but I have not had a stand-up comedian on the show before. Okay. How did you decide you wanted to do stand-up?
Oh, I think all my life I've been funny. I think I learned about 5th grade that I can make people laugh, and it was fun to make people laugh. And it kind of had a little power, a little bit of a power. I guess I was nervous to talk to people back then, so then when I made them laugh, things got really relaxed. So that's when the first time I think I decided, this is pretty cool.
Okay.
My first performance, actual performance that I ever did was 4th grade. I'm just remembering this now. I did a 4th grade talent show.
Wow.
And I imitated John Wayne and Jimmy Durante because I would hear my father do these things at home. And most of the kids didn't really know who Jimmy Durante was. The teachers thought it was funny.
Okay, yeah.
That was my first time.
Okay,
and
so
then,
this has been a long time thing.
Yeah.
Now, everybody, it's very easy to be funny, I think, in everyday life.
Yeah.
How is it to try to be funny in front of a crowd of people with the expectation you're going to be funny?
Yeah. For me, it's sort of, I don't want to say it's natural, because I tend to be too funny. I can't really be very serious a lot of times. I get uncomfortable in certain situations, so I will make a joke about it. And that phrase, too soon, when something, I find myself going, oh, this is too soon. This maybe 2 months from now would be funny, but not right now. So that's kind of what happens to me. So I just think when I'm doing something, or my life, I'm doing something and I'm making jokes about it or funny, I put that in my routine. So my routine is pretty much about my life with a little bit of a tweak.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you got to craft it a little bit to make it flow a little better.
Okay, yeah. So, I think that growing up, my idea of stand-up comedy, I guess, was like Henny Youngman up there giving one-liner after another.
Yes.
Take my wife, please, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen of your work, yours is much more of kind of like the observational, everyday life, but finding the humor and maybe the slight insanity of it.
I used to say this very proudly, but now I have to be careful the way they say this. I loved Bill Cosby's work. I grew up on that.
Right.
I knew his routines in and out. They were everyday living thing, and there was a story. It was a story, and then you would laugh hysterically while he's telling the story. Jerry Seinfeld, the same thing. It's like a story, and that's what I do. So it's somewhat difficult for me to do, and sometimes I'll give you 3 minutes. And I'm thinking, okay, what story am I going to tell in 3 minutes? That's a short amount of time for me.
Right.
I'm better with 5 to 7 minutes because I'm telling a story. And weaving in there, I'm going to be, doing facial things or making people laugh with that. That's what I do. I am practicing right now, actually, for more one-liners.
Okay.
I need to develop more one-liners. One recently I've thought about. Could I try one on you?
Sure.
One of them is, when I was younger, I used to think, is it hot in here or is it me? But now I'm thinking, is it hot in here or is it me?
Yes.
That's like a one-liner.
Yeah, that's a great type of humor that a lot of people, particularly of a certain age, can identify with.
Most of my stuff people can identify with.
Yeah, and I think that's really excellent. So let's take a look at. I asked you to bring in some video clips because I realized that standing up in front of no audience trying to do
It's
stand-up
almost
comedy would be
impossible.
very awkward.
It is.
So you brought a video clip, and the first one we're going to look at is one of your early.
Probably my earliest one. I was about the third or fourth time I was ever in front of an audience.
Okay.
And it was at the Barry talent show
All right.
in 2007,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at that.
I was very lucky to get my 14-year-old neighbor to babysit my daughter this evening, not having to rely on my husband. Don't get me wrong, I love my husband, but when I get a teenager, I get out of the house a little bit quicker. My list of instructions goes something like this. My cell phone is on the refrigerator, call me if you need me. 7 o'clock is her snack, 7:30 is bedtime, and I'm out the door. With my husband, a little longer, a little bit more detailed. It goes something like this. I have my cell phone on me. Don't you dare call me. Figure it out yourself. Putting sprinkles and whipped cream on a pint of Ben & Jerry's and sticking a spoon in it is not an appropriate snack for a 7-year-old. And my personal favorite, bedtime is not when you see my headlights coming down the driveway. My husband and I are very different. I am an energy-sensing, positive thinker. My husband, well, he's a typical guy. I am the type of person that carries around a reusable shopping bag because I believe I'm going to save the earth one plastic bag at a time. My husband believes that if God had wanted us to be a little earth-friendly, he would have designed us a little better, like having a pouch, like a kangaroo. He says that he could have saved 2 acres of the rainforest by putting the beer bottles directly in the pouch as opposed to using a paper bag.
Okay, so how did it feel, not only being in front of the audience, but now knowing that the camera was also there?
It was terrifying, and I say that, and I'm really serious.
Yeah.
The first time I ever did stand up was in high school, really stand up, and I did 2 shows that day. One went great because we did, what is it, when they used to bring in the one set of kids and then the other kids would come in. So I did one, it was great. Second one, my mom, I still have it on tape to this day, it's really funny. Didn't go as well, didn't get as many claps, and I stopped. I didn't do anything because I was like, I did the same material. How did one group like it, one group not like it? So this was my second time. Like this is like now forward. I was 20. I was 17 then, and I was like 40 now. Didn't do anything in between. So now three times. This is my big audience. Right before I went on, they said, you're on, and I had been running through my routine, going over my head, going over my head, going over my head, and he said, you're going to be on in 3 minutes. I go. And all of a sudden, my mind went completely blank to the point, and I kid you not, that I forgot my daughter's name. Like, I was that terrified. I said, I can't. He goes, no, you're good. You were good in the rehearsals. I said, I can't. I really can't. And I went on, and I did it wonderfully. The only thing that I messed up in that, there was one joke that I messed up, and people probably wouldn't notice it, but I did. And to this day, I still notice that.
Yeah.
But it was terrifying.
I think that's one thing that I have had to learn as a performer, is that when we make a mistake, generally we're the only ones who know we made a mistake.
Yeah.
And we tend to be harder on ourselves than other people are. So how do you develop a routine? Where does it start, and how do you kind of choose what to put in, what to leave out?
Well, again, it's part of my daily living. Talking with my husband, my daughter, my friends, if I'm doing something, I do a lot of goofy things. I gotta say, I do goofy things. And then I embellish it a little bit, and then I start putting in routine. The interesting thing is when I have, I did a 45-minute one-woman show one time. And I like everything to flow in, and then I refer back to something that was earlier. That takes literal crafting.
Sure.
That's, I just put this here, okay, this joke, I'll go into this one, and then I said, oh, this joke's got to come before this because I refer to this later. So that's kind of like the crafting. But someone said to me one time, you have an hour's worth of material? I said, yeah, I have more than that. I mean, you got to think about it. I've been thinking about this since I was 17 to 40. Like, I got a lot of stuff. So it's just a matter of putting it in. When I go up and do a regular routine, like a routine that may give me 7 minutes, then I have to figure, okay, I'll put this piece here, this piece here, this piece, you know, put the pieces together, but they don't flow like they did before.
Right.
So that's the memory thing where I have to like, okay, this one flows into this one. Before it flowed into that joke, but now it's flowing into this because I only have 7 minutes as opposed to having 45 minutes.
Sure. How hard is it to memorize all these?
It's hard for me to memorize the order.
Okay.
The actual jokes, because they're based in quote unquote reality,
Right.
I know them, so it's not difficult. It truly isn't. Someone says, how do you remember all that stuff? I said, because pretty much a lot of it happened to me. It's just I'm adding a little bit here and there. It's the flowing from one to the other, the transitions,
Right.
is what I have difficulty with.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at another clip, and this one, I believe, is about your mother teaching you
How to
make a bed.
How to make a bed, yes.
Okay. Let's see this.
Yeah.
So this phrase actually came to me. I was 9 years old, and my mother, and some of you may know this, but my mother brought me to my bedroom, and because she wanted to teach me the proper way to make a bed with hospital corners. Is anybody aware of this sick ritual? Oh yeah, don't even clap, okay? So there I am, 9 years old, watching my mom, and I'm thinking, why does it have to be so neat? And her response to me was, well, what will people think? And my response was, are you kidding me? Who are these people? And what are they doing in my bedroom? So this added to my fantasy. I had this fantasy when I was a kid that my parents would go away. Not get maimed or killed or have a horrible disease, just go away. Come on, I know some of you had the same fantasy, right? So my fantasy would go something like this. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching the Brady Bunch. I guess I'm dating myself there, but yeah, I'm watching the Brady Bunch. And these people come to my door and demand to see my bed sheets. I bring them to my room, I throw back the bedspread, they gasp in the horrorness of it all, and take my mother away.
Are you kidding me? That seems to be sort of the linchpin of that.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase. I like that phrase. I've always liked that phrase, and I always said if I ever became big, like, you know, that's going to be that. They're going to say, Debbie Ennis, are you kidding me? Like, that's what I want my tagline to be, because I really like that. I use it a lot.
Okay.
Because it's universal with everything. Like, I tell people, like, you know, you say your kid came home from school and they got suspended. Are you kidding me? And then your spouse comes home and they said they got a raise. Are you kidding me? Like,
Okay.
it fits all kinds of situations. So that's why it kind of comes to me.
It's like a multi-purpose.
It's a multi-purpose, you know, word.
And you never have to be at a loss of words.
No, you don't. And I always
Because
say,
you've got that. So you reference your family in your work.
yes.
How do they feel about being presented, maybe not always in the best light?
My husband is pretty good about it. He's a pretty good sport. You know, I actually never really run things by him. I have one child. So when I say my daughter did such and such, you know who that is. So that's a little bit difficult. So certain things I'm like, this is going to have to wait, you know, too soon. This is going to have to wait about another 15 years, and maybe I could tell that one. I will ask her. I'll say, Megan, this is what I'm going to say, especially when she was younger. If she saw me, this is what I'm going to say. And she said, okay. I said, you okay with that? Yeah. And then sometimes she'll say, Mommy, did I really say that? And I'll say, you said something like that, but not
Something
exactly
like
like that. And then sometimes I'll say, no, you said that. Like, she was like, did because she was little. I said, yes, you did say that.
Yeah.
So I will run it by my daughter. I don't think there was ever a time when she said no, but I know the ones she would say, no, you can't do that, and I wouldn't even ask her.
And she is a teenager?
She just turned 17.
Okay, so, and those are awkward times.
Yep.
So I can see where you do want to sort
gotta
of
be
tread
careful.
lightly.
Yeah. If she does something silly, you know, maybe but if it's, you know, teenagers, they get in trouble and they do.
Right.
I would not do that until she's older. And again, I would run it by her.
Sure,
I would
sure.
definitely, even if I was older, I would run it by her
Okay.
to
yeah.
see.
Yeah, that's good. You know, so, but the husband is,
It's funny because he doesn't really even like my humor.
oh,
He
okay.
doesn't. He's more of a George Carlin. Like, I'm clean. You know,
Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld, Ellen, Bill Cosby. You know, I'm a clean. He likes rougher stuff. So
Okay.
he's only seen my stand up like once. I made him go to my 45-minute stand. Oh, and he did the one in Barry. He went to Barry, and I told him he had to go to that one too.
Okay.
So he doesn't usually go that often. So I can say whatever I want. He doesn't even know.
Right, right. Where do you usually perform? What types of places?
Like little local stand-up places. There's a place, Bishop's Lounge. I did a little bit over there, and I think it's like Northampton or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm not originally from Massachusetts, so towns confuse me. Bull Mansion in Worcester. I've done this. I'm going to do another one there coming up February 26th. It's like a stand-up place.
Okay.
They do that. Just local stand-up. The issue is, I'm older. Like when you're learning how to do this, whatever, you got to go to stand-ups all the time.
right.
I live out in the middle of Barry. And I've been up to New Hampshire. I've done some in South Carolina. I've done some in California. I've done them all over. But around here, you're traveling literally an hour
Right.
to do 4 minutes or 5 minutes. And then you're coming back. And I work. I'm a social worker. I work at night.
Right.
So, and these are usually on a Tuesday night or, you know, so it's really difficult for me to get around. So I found Bull Mansion. I like that one. That one's pretty popular, so you have to sign up earlier. And they'll just, you know, call up comic after comic. So it's usually local places. I think I have this image, you know, that I'm going to make it big and I don't have to do the local stuff.
Yeah.
So I would really like to do like fundraisers. You know how they have the 3 comics, and I'm trying to get in
Right.
on that right now, which is kind of difficult for me. I think I have to put more hours in.
Yeah, yeah. And it is tough when you are working full-time.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a social worker, that is demanding work. And as you say, you have to be available at hours when people are available to meet with you.
Right, and that's usually after hours.
Right. So it's kind of a very hard thing to try to make it into the big leagues.
It is.
You know, when you have other obligations, basically.
Yeah, I am going to do one at Ware Workshop 13 here in Ware on March 3rd, because the
Okay.
Ware Community Jazz Band plays there, and I know the guys in the jazz band. I used to play with them.
We had John as a guest
Sacco?
on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
So he's the band director. I'm in the Ware Community Band. This is the Ware Community Jazz Band, and they
Right.
play. So I do, between their sets, I get
Okay.
like 9 minutes or so, and I do.
All right. And in fact, we saw you at the last concert they did.
Yeah.
And it looked to me like it was just a little awkward, though, because you're in between sets.
Yes.
So it's sort of when everybody is running to get refreshments.
It was, and as a matter of fact, you say that because this time I asked him. I said, "Listen, I can't do in between sets anymore, because just like here, I can't do here with nobody listening.
Right.
It's really hard when nobody's listening,
Oh,
because
sure.
a comic will thrive on the laughs."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
while there was a smattering, people were getting their drinks and all. So I said, I'd like to do it, like, I do it before the show starts at 2 o'clock, and I set you up. Like, I'm opening for the... So he's thinking about that to see the logistics if that could work. If he can't work, then I'm not going to do it. I can't do the in-betweens anymore.
I can imagine that would be
I told him
extremely difficult.
It was very difficult.
It seems to me that doing stand-up comedy is a very vulnerable art.
It is.
Maybe, you know, more so. I'm a singer and performer, but, you know, I've kind of got that guitar to hide behind.
Yeah.
You are just so vulnerable standing up there on that stage with just you.
Just me, yeah. When I tell you it's terrifying, I kid you not. It's terrifying, and I don't understand why I like to do it. Like, I literally had an anxiety attack a day before I was doing my 45-minute one-woman show. That was like maybe the 11th or 12th time I've ever been in front, or 7th time I've ever been in front of an audience, and I was going to do this for an hour. I literally fell down in my kitchen. And I think to myself, why am I doing this? But the exhilaration once I get past that little bit of nervousness, is unbelievable, like unbelievable.
When do you find that the anxiety leaves and the
Yeah.
what's the word I want?
Euphoria?
Euphoria and energy of performing kicks in.
Yeah. Usually for me in about 10, 11 minutes. Seriously. If that audience is with me and I got them and they're laughing, I'm good. Unfortunately, and that's why I think one of the things I avoid stand-up, like open mics, you get 5 to 7 minutes. I don't hit my sweet spot until about 10, 11 minutes. Just like a runner, you get a runner's high.
Right.
I don't hit that until I'm about 5 miles in. Before that, I'm exhausted. Once I hit that 5 miles, I'm good. So going to getting 4 minutes, 7 minutes, it's a bit terrifying for me to do that because I haven't hit my sweet spot. But
Right.
after that, and I know I got them. I mean, I did a show one time. It was like 22 people in the audience. And I looked out and went, oh no. It was like I do PTO groups and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go. 11 minutes in, they were laughing hysterically. And I was like, okay, I got this. And the rest of the night, I said one lady crying, she's wiping her ears, one guy's holding her aside, and I'm like, I'm good. And that's what I thrive on. I really do.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think every performer thrives off of the audience reaction. But,
Absolutely.
I think, you know, again, you know, I've always kind of felt I was funny, but, you know, my wife might disagree with that. But I've never said, yeah, I'm going to get in front of people
Yeah, I know.
and be funny for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
tough. I do speaking engagements as a social worker. I would do they call lunch and learns for corporations and all that, and I would do that quite often.
Right.
And I used to do that quite often. I can do that. 150 people, 300 people, it doesn't matter.
Well, you
Being
know,
funny.
that's a case where, yeah, I mean, you've got information, you know that information.
Yeah.
They want that type of information.
Yeah.
With comedy, you don't know that people necessarily want that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at you brought in one more clip, and let's
Yeah.
take a look at that one.
Okay. So when I was talking about infants, I really am serious. I'm not a fan of infants. I don't like what they can't tell you what they want. I remember my daughter was very young and she'd be crying and whining. I can't stand that. Pointing in the refrigerator and I'm like, what? Milk? Juice? The steak from last night? What do you want? Right? So to avoid this, I call it her non-speaking years, I taught her sign language. I mean, honest truth. By the time she was 10 months old, she knew 65 signs, most of them clean. What they don't tell you when you're reading the books and getting the video, thing that come out, that just like teaching a child how to talk, you have to watch what you say. Now you got to watch what you do. I'm Italian. The kid was doomed from the very beginning. So I'm teaching. So one day my mother comes over and she does this. Does anybody know what that means? Any Italians in the house? Okay. Let me translate it loosely. If I could kill you right now and bury you in the backyard, I would. That's pretty much what it means. So she does this to my mother, and I said, oh, Ma, it means she's hungry. And my mother didn't buy it, because that was her favorite sign when we were kids. So then another one she picked up on was, she went like this. Now, this is not that, it's not like giving someone the finger. It really is. It's like, leave me alone, forget about it. But it's not good for a little kid to do it to an adult, right? So she does this. So I tell my mother-in-law, she says, oh, it means nice to meet you. She was English-German. She bought it.
Okay, so what's next for Debbie Ennis, comedian?
I used to joke around and say that I wanted to fill fire holes across the country, and do that. I really want to be I want to do it for large groups of audiences. I love making people laugh, and the main thing is because I think it's a healing thing. I'm a social worker. People come to me literally on my website. I'll say, we're going to laugh. Like, I use humor in my therapy. Because I think it is so healing. I know that a lot of people are saying that now. I believe this for a very, very long time. When you laugh, the endorphins go up, the cortisol goes down. It just really helps. I want to kind of bring it to the masses. I like doing like PTO groups or social organizations because I talk about everyday humor, family stuff and all that, but I want to get in a regular circuit. I would love to do this 2 or 3 shows a week, like pretty big shows, be paid for it. I believe in law of attraction type stuff, so I kind of attract myself. I got paid a good amount of money for 3 separate shows this year, like for corporation type places. My other goal this year, actually I was starting in 2018. In 2018, my goal was to perform for pay outside of Massachusetts, but I didn't achieve that goal. So that's my goal for this year, is to get paid outside of Massachusetts. But I'd like to do maybe those fundraisers, get people to know me a little bit better. But I really want to do it more of a career. And cut down. I work 3 days a week as a therapist. I'd like to maybe do 1 day a week as a therapist and do the other as
now you don't do any routines about being a therapist.
No, I don't. No, I've thought about it once in a while to say, oh, this is kind of funny. And if I ever did one. If I ever did it, and I thought about this because my friends a lot of my friends are social workers, they said, oh my God, Deb, you got to do like the conferences for social workers, because you don't want people to think you're making fun of them, and that wouldn't be it's very difficult. I think it would be very difficult for some.
I think it is that very fine line.
There is a very fine line, but therapists would understand like certain things. Like if you're going, they would understand it.
Right, sure. But do you think that your training informs your humor in some way?
Yes. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. There's certain ways I look at things because I think a therapist would look at it more than a lay person. Okay. I don't know. I just do.
So, is there a question that I did not ask that you wish I would have asked?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
And providing some good laughs. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Creative Connections, and we'll see you again next time.